Welcome back to Courtside Zone. I'm your girl, Aryna, and today we are diving headfirst into a seismic shift that is rocking the foundations of the WTA. Forget everything you thought you knew about who moves the needle in women's tennis. While the history books are currently being written by the power hitters and the Grand Slam mainstays, there is a new name on everyone's lips, and the hype isn't just coming from the fans, it's coming from the very top of the food chain. We are talking about a phenomenon that has the legends of the game scratching their heads and the marketing executives scrambling to keep up. Is it possible that the biggest draw in the sport today isn't a world number one or a multi-slam champion? According to the experts, the crown has already shifted, and it's sitting on the head of the Philippines' very own Eala. Now, hold on to your seats, because former world number 11 Sam Querrey isn't just suggesting this, he is shouting it from the rooftops. When someone like Querrey, a man who has stared down the greatest of all time across the net, speaks up, you don't just listen, you take notes. He is going on the record to declare that Eala is the single biggest draw heading into the upcoming tours. We aren't talking about potential or future star status here. We are talking about right now. Querrey is looking at the landscape and saying that Eala has reached a level of drawing power that puts her above the entire field. And yes, that includes the formidable Aryna Sabalenka. Think about the gravity of that statement for a second. Sabalenka is a titan. She is the gold standard of power and consistency. But Querrey and his circle are insisting that when it comes to the electric atmosphere, the sold-out seats, and the can't-miss factor, Eala is already outshining the world number one. In my personal opinion, this isn't just about forehands and backhands anymore. It's about a cultural movement. I've watched a lot of players come and go, but what we are seeing with Alex is different. It's a magnetism that feels almost spiritual. When she steps onto the court, the air in the stadium literally changes. It's like the energy of an entire nation and a global diaspora is being funneled into a single 78-foot rectangle. Querrey isn't building this argument on vibes alone. He's looking at the cold, hard facts of the Doha crowds, where the scenes were nothing short of insane. He compared her impact to what Joel Fonseca did on the men's side in Miami last year, but with a twist. He thinks Eala is actually bigger. The atmosphere is so intense that experts are advising fans to tune in not just for the tennis, but just to witness the sheer spectacle of the crowd. There's a word that kept popping up in these expert discussions: jealousy. And honestly, I get it. Can you imagine being a top 10 player, someone who has banked millions and hoisted the biggest trophies in the world, only to look over and see a young woman who hasn't even cracked the top 10 yet commanding 3 times the audience? Querrey suggests there has to be a little bit of envy creeping in. When Eala is scheduled to play, the logic of the tournament changes. People who weren't even planning on going to the tennis are suddenly hunting for tickets. Fans are flying across continents, literally crossing oceans, just to be in the building. This isn't manufactured hype. This is a grassroots explosion. You can't fake the kind of lines that stretch around the block for a player who isn't even seated yet. But it's not just the retired pros talking. The current locker room is starting to speak out too. Take Jessica Pegula, for instance. She's one of the most level-headed, consistent players on the tour. When she faced Eala in Miami, she was genuinely floored. She admitted that she wasn't prepared for the wall of sound that hit her. She described the energy as insane and electric. Pegula noted that whether it was Miami, the Australian Open, or Dubai, Eala consistently draws the biggest support of anyone on tour. In Australia, the crowds were so massive they were overcrowded, with fans packed into courts that were far too small to contain the Eala-mania. It's becoming a recurring theme. The organizers underestimate her draw, put her on a side court, and then watch in shock as the fences practically buckle under the weight of her supporters. And if you need the ultimate seal of approval, look no further than the GOAT himself, Novak Djokovic. When Novak talks, the world stops. He didn't just give a polite nod to Eala. He called her the greatest tennis player the Philippines has ever produced. He explicitly called out the scheduling issues, suggesting that the sport needs to do a better job of recognizing her status. For Djokovic to step in and say she deserves bigger courts and more respect, that is a game changer. He understands that coming from a country like the Philippines, which has a massive, passionate population and a deep hunger for a tennis hero, makes her a unique asset to the sport. He's essentially telling the WTA to wake up and realize what they have in their hands. The experts are now looking toward 2025 with a sense of genuine awe. They're arguing that if Eala wins a Grand Slam next year, it wouldn't just be a win for her, it would be the single most significant moment in professional tennis in recent history. It would be the kind of milestone that doesn't just change a career, but changes the entire global narrative of the sport. They are talking about her as a market opener, someone who can bring the game to millions of new eyes in a way that even the established champions haven't quite managed. At the end of the day, Sabalenka is a queen on the court, and her achievements are set in stone. But what Eala has is that X factor that you can't teach and you can't buy. She has the heart of a nation and the eyes of the world. The experts have made their choice. Eala is the biggest draw in the game right now, and the era of the underdog-turned-superstar is officially here. It's a wild time to be a tennis fan, and I for one am here for every single second of it. To really understand the scale of what we are talking about, you have to look at the numbers. While players like Iga Swiatek or Coco Gauff have massive social media followings, the on-the-ground conversion for Eala is unprecedented. We are seeing stadiums reach capacity for qualifying matches. Think about that, qualifying matches. People aren't just showing up for the finals, they are showing up for the journey. This tells me that Eala's fans aren't just tennis fans, they're Eala fans. They are emotionally invested in her struggle, her rise, and her identity. This is the kind of loyalty that brands dream of. When Sam Querrey says she's the biggest draw, he's talking about the raw, unfiltered demand that makes a tournament feel like a major event regardless of the round. I've spent hours looking at the footage from her recent matches, and the demographic is fascinating. You see families, young kids with Philippine flags, and fans who clearly don't usually attend tennis tournaments. This is how you grow a sport. You find a catalyst that breaks through the traditional boundaries. Eala is that catalyst. While Sabalenka represents the peak of athletic perfection, the final boss of the WTA, Eala represents the protagonist that everyone wants to win. The experts aren't trying to say Eala is a better player than Sabalenka right now. They are saying she is a more compelling story. And in the world of sports entertainment, the story is what sells the tickets. There's also the psychological aspect to consider. When a player like Eala walks onto a court and the crowd erupts, it places an enormous amount of pressure on her opponent. Even seasoned veterans like Jessica Pegula have admitted that the environment is jarring. It's like playing an away game in a stadium that's supposed to be neutral. This home field advantage follows Alex everywhere she goes. Whether she's in the Middle East, the United States, or Australia, she is the local favorite. This is a weapon that Sabalenka, despite all her power, doesn't always have. Sabalenka often plays the role of the villain or the dominant force to be overcome. Eala is the hero. That distinction is exactly why the drawing power is leaning so heavily in her direction. The experts also highlighted the sheer volume of engagement she generates online. Every clip of her match goes viral. Every press conference is scrutinized. The Eala effect is a digital powerhouse that feeds into the physical attendance. It's a self-sustaining cycle of hype. The more people see the insane crowds in Doha or Miami, the more they want to be a part of it. It's FOMO, fear of missing out, at its finest. And let's be real, in 2026, FOMO is the greatest marketing tool in existence. If you aren't at the Eala match, are you even watching tennis? That's the question the experts are posing to the fans, and the fans are responding with their wallets. Let's talk about the comparison to Joao Fonseca again, because that's a heavy one. Fonseca was the it boy of last year, a young talent who electrified the men's side with his raw energy and fearless play. But the experts are doubling down. Eala's impact is larger. Why? Because the Philippine market is a sleeping giant in the tennis world. When you unlock a market of over 110 million people, plus millions more in the global diaspora, you aren't just adding fans, you are adding an entire ecosystem. Eala is the bridge to a region that has been waiting for a superstar to call its own. This is why the legends like Djokovic are taking notice. They see the big picture of tennis expansion, and they see Eala as the key that unlocks the door. In my personal view, the WTA needs to lean into this. Stop putting her on the outside courts. Stop treating her like just another young prospect. The numbers are screaming the truth. She is a main stage attraction. If the experts are right and some of the top 10 players are feeling jealous, my advice to them would be to embrace it. Competition drives the sport forward. If the presence of a massive Eala crowd pushes Sabalenka or Rybakina to play even harder to silence the noise, then the fans win. But you cannot ignore the gravity of a star who can pull in thousands of people just by showing up for a practice session. As we look toward the future, the stakes couldn't be higher. If Eala continues this trajectory, the conversation won't be about whether she's a big draw. It will be about how the sport ever functioned without her. The experts are betting big on her, the legends are backing her, and the fans are practically worshiping the ground she walks on. This isn't just a purple patch of form. This is the birth of a global icon. What do you think? Is the hype around Eala justified, or is it too early to be putting her above stars like Sabalenka and Coco Gauff? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't hold back. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the changing of the guard in the WTA, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Courtside Zone for more unfiltered tennis news. I'm Aryna, and I'll see you at the next match.